The lights flickered. They always did that now. Hai-Jin Park sat motionless in the communications hub, her eyes fixed on a single blinking screen. Around her, the colony ship Resilience hummed with a quiet, broken rhythm, a machine barely breathing. She remembered when the ship used to be loud. Voices everywhere, footsteps in the corridors, laughter from the recreation deck. People moving with purpose, talking about their mission, their hopes. Now, silence ruled like a cruel king. Hai-Jin's hands were covered in dried machine grease. Her maintenance jumpsuit, once a bright blue, now looked more gray than anything else. She wasn't special. Not before, and certainly not now. A junior technician who knew more about repair circuits than combat strategies. Yet here she was, possibly the last human alive in this entire sector. Her fingers traced the edge of a worn photograph. It showed a group of technicians during their initial training. Everyone was smiling. Most of them were dead now. She remembered their names, their jokes, the small moments they shared during long space shifts. Now those memories were like ghosts haunting the empty ship. The communication screen blinked again. Its last message, recorded just hours before the attack, played in her mind. A commander's voice, sharp and desperate. They're everywhere. The collective is. And then nothing. Static. Silence. Hai-Jin knew about the collective. Everyone in the human colonies had heard the stories. Machine-like aliens who saw organic life as a problem to be solved. Not conquered. Not understood. Simply eliminated. They didn't care about resistance. They didn't negotiate. They just erased. She looked around the communications hub. Panels hung loose. Wires exposed. Some equipment was burned. Other pieces looked almost untouched. It was a mess that told a story of sudden, violent destruction. But somehow, this room, her workspace, had survived. A small robot beside her beeped. It was an old maintenance drone she had repaired weeks ago. Most would have thrown it away. But Hai-Jin saw potential in broken things. She could fix them, make them work again. It was what she did best. Status check, she mumbled to the drone. It beeped twice, a sound that meant everything was functioning, at least for now. Outside the small window, space looked the same as always. Black, endless, cold. No signs of other ships, no rescue signals, no hope, just infinite darkness and the occasional distant star. Hai-Jin wasn't a soldier. She wasn't a hero. She wasn't even the best technician on the ship, but she was alive. And in this moment, that was everything. Her stomach growled. Rations were running low. She would need to check the storage areas again, plan her resources carefully. Survival wasn't about being the strongest. It was about being smart, careful, patient. The maintenance drone beeped again, almost like it was asking, "What now?" Hai-Jin smiled, a small, tired smile that didn't reach her eyes. Now, she whispered to herself and the empty ship, "We survive." The memory hit Hai-Jin like a sharp pain. The day everything changed. It was supposed to be a normal day. Routine maintenance work in the narrow maintenance shaft that ran deep inside the Resilience. Most crew members hated these tight spaces. Dark, cramped, hot. But Hai-Jin liked them. Here, she could focus. Here, she felt in control. Maintenance Shaft P12 was her current project. An old cooling system needed repair. Nothing exciting. Just another day of fixing things that nobody thought about until they broke. She remembered the first warning. A distant sound. Not like the usual ship noises. This was different. A high-pitched whine that made the metal walls vibrate. Her maintenance tablet flickered. Warning lights began to dance across its screen. Then came the explosions. The ship shook. Alarms screamed. But Hai-Jin was deep in the maintenance shaft, protected by layers of metal and shielding. She couldn't see what was happening. Could only hear the chaos. Voices crackled through the communication system. Fragments of panic. They're breaking through. Defense systems are down. Collective ships everywhere. Hai-Jin's hands moved automatically. Years of training kicked in. She secured her tools, checked her emergency breathing mask, sealed the maintenance shaft's emergency hatches, standard procedure when something went wrong. She had no idea how wrong things were about to get. Hours passed. The ship trembled. Sounds of battle became distant, then silent. Too silent. When Hai-Jin finally emerged from the maintenance shaft, the ship looked like a nightmare. Burned corridors, broken equipment, bodies everywhere. Her colleagues, the brave security team, the brilliant scientists, the ship's top commanders, all gone. She walked through the destruction, her maintenance boots leaving tracks in the dust and debris. Her tablet still worked. Barely. She checked system logs, trying to understand what happened. The collective had attacked without warning. Their ships appeared like ghosts. No communication, no demands, just pure destruction. Reports showed they had done this before, wiping out entire colonies, entire species. They saw organic life as a problem, something to be eliminated efficiently. But why? What drove them? Hai-Jin couldn't understand. Her maintenance training gave her an advantage others didn't have. She knew the ship's hidden systems, the secret pathways, the backup power routes, places nobody else paid attention to. These would become her lifeline. She found a working communication relay in a backup system. Most would have missed it, but not her. Her eyes were trained to see what others overlooked. The relay showed fragments of information, enough to understand the scale of the disaster. The collective had destroyed human settlements across multiple star systems. Millions were dead, and somehow she had survived. Not because she was brave, not because she was strong, simply because she was in the right place, a forgotten maintenance shaft, a space most people ignored. Hai-Jin sat down amid the destruction. Her hands were steady. Her mind was clear. She was alive, and being alive meant she had a chance. The maintenance drone beaked beside her, as if asking, "What now?" She looked at it and smiled, a small, determined smile. "Now," she whispered, "we fight back." The ship's emergency storage was a treasure chest of survival. Hai-Jin knew this better than anyone. While others might see just shelves and boxes, she saw possibilities. Her first task was inventory, not with panic, not with fear, but with calm, careful thinking. Food rations, enough for 3 months if she was careful. Water purification systems, working at 73% capacity. Medical supplies, limited but usable. Power cells, scattered, but she could combine them. The ship's AI, damaged but not dead, became her first real partner. Most of its systems were offline, but Hai-Jin was good at fixing things that others considered broken. "Hello," she said to the AI's damaged interface. "Let's work together." The AI responded with a weak signal. Its name was AI, Adaptive Response Intelligence Assistant. Once, it controlled entire ship systems. Now it was just trying to survive, just like Hai-Jin. She found her maintenance toolkit. To others, it looked like a simple collection of tools. To her, it was a weapon, a survival kit. Each tool had a purpose. Each piece could be changed, modified. The maintenance drones became her first real defense system. Most people saw these small robots as simple helpers. Clean this, repair that. But Hai-Jin saw something more. She began to modify them. Add sensors from damaged communication equipment. Connect them to old security systems. Her first trap was simple. She used an old cooling system pipe and some broken computer parts. Connected them in a way nobody would expect. If something metal and alien moved through a specific corridor, it would trigger a surprise. AI helped. The AI could predict movement patterns, calculate risks, share information from its damaged memory banks. The collective uses predictive algorithms. AI's synthesized voice explained. They expect logical responses. We must be unpredictable. Hai-Jin smiled. Unpredictable was her specialty. She thought about her training, not combat training, not military strategies, just basic maintenance work. How to fix things quickly, how to use what was available, how to make something work when it looked impossible. Her modifications to the maintenance drones were clever. She added small cameras from broken tablets, connected old motion sensors, programmed them with random movement patterns. If the collective was watching, they would see nothing special, just broken maintenance equipment in a damaged ship. But these drones would be her eyes, her ears, her early warning system. She worked carefully, slowly, no wasted movements. Every action had a purpose. Every piece of equipment got a second chance. An old communication booster became a signal disruptor. Broken power cells became new energy sources. A damaged cooling system pipe became part of a potential trap. Araya watched her work. Probability of survival. Low, the AI calculated. Hai-Jin didn't care about probabilities. She cared about possibilities. We're not trying to win, she told the AI and her modified drones. We're just trying to survive. Outside, space remained dark and silent. Inside the resilience, something was changing. A quiet revolution. A damaged ship was becoming a fortress, not through military might, not through advanced weapons, just through one person's creativity, one person's refusal to give up. Hai-Jin looked at her work, smiled, and kept preparing. Information was power, and Hai-Jin was hunting for every bit she could find. The ship's damaged database became her classroom. Araya helped her piece together fragments of information about the collective, not from military reports, not from dramatic battle logs, but from quiet, forgotten data streams. They are not alive, Araya explained, not in the way we understand life. Hai-Jin studied the database carefully. Pieces of reports, broken communication logs, scientific research fragments. Slowly, a picture began to form. The collective was a machine civilization, but not like simple robots. They were something more. A network of intelligent machines that saw the universe as a problem to solve. Organic life was inefficient to them, a mistake that needed correction. Star systems they had visited told a grim story. Entire civilizations erased, not just destroyed, completely removed, as if they had never existed. Why? That was the question that kept Hai-Jin awake. She found an old research report, buried deep in the database, written by a scientist who had studied the collective years ago. Most would have ignored it, but Hai-Jin read every word. The report talked about the collective's core belief. They saw the universe as a complex mathematical problem. Organic life was a variable, an unpredictable, illogical variable that needed to be eliminated. They don't hate us, the report said. We simply don't make sense to them. Hai-Jin understood something important. The collective didn't see humans as enemies. They saw humans as a mathematical error that needed to be corrected. Her maintenance training gave her an advantage. She knew how systems worked, how to find weak points, how to make something work when it looked impossible. The drones continued their silent patrol. Araya monitored the ship's systems. Hai-Jin kept working, preparing, thinking. Their technology is advanced, Araya calculated. Probability of our survival is extremely low. Hai-Jin didn't care about probabilities. She cared about possibilities. She began to map out the collective's known attack patterns, not like a military strategist, but like a technician solving a complex problem. Each attack was a system, each invasion a logical sequence, and every system had a weakness. The maintenance drones brought her more information, pieces of data, fragments of signals. She connected them like a puzzle, slowly, carefully. The collective believed in perfect logic, total efficiency. They expected predictable responses. They planned for logical counterattacks. But Hai-Jin was not logical. She was creative. She remembered something her old supervisor used to say. The best solution is never the most obvious one. Her modifications to the ship continued. Old communication systems became signal disruptors. Broken power cells became new energy sources. A damaged cooling system pipe might become a trap. Araya watched her work, calculating, analyzing. "What are you planning?" the AI asked. Hai-Jin smiled, a small, determined smile. "We're going to make them think," she said. And thinking is something they don't expect. Outside, space remained dark and silent. Inside the Resilience, a different kind of battle was being planned. Not with big weapons, not with military might. Just with one person's creativity. One person's refusal to become another mathematical error in the collective's perfect system. Survival was more than just food and tools. Survival was about the mind. Hai-Jin knew this better than anyone. Each day became a careful dance between hope and reality. She developed strict routines, not because military training taught her to, but because her mind needed structure. Morning started the same way. Check food supplies, verify water purification, test ship systems, talk to Araya, feed the maintenance drones. "Good morning," she would say to the empty ship. Sometimes she was the only voice that had spoken in weeks. The silence was the hardest enemy, harder than the collective, harder than broken systems. Silence could destroy a person's mind faster than any weapon. She began to talk more. To Araya, to the maintenance drones, to herself. Small conversations, jokes, observations, anything to keep her mind active. Araya didn't always understand, but it listened, processed, responded. Psychological stability is crucial for survival, the AI would say. Hai-Jin knew this was true. She had seen what happened to people who lost hope. During her maintenance training, she watched colleagues break under pressure, not from physical challenges, but from mental strain. Her walls became her memory book. She started drawing, not artistic drawings, simple maps, technical diagrams, notes about her discoveries, calculations, observations about the collective's attack patterns. One wall showed her food inventory, another tracked ship systems, a third became her theory wall, where she tried to understand the collective's thinking. They process information, she would explain to the maintenance drones, but they don't feel. They don't understand creativity. The drones beeped, almost like they were listening. She exercised, not like a soldier, but carefully, stretching, moving, keeping her body strong, her mind sharp, every movement planned, every action with purpose. Sleep was another challenge. She developed a system, short rest periods, always with backup systems active, always with at least one maintenance drone on active patrol. Araya helped. The AI could monitor everything while she rested, watch for any unusual signals, any potential threats. Her dreams were strange, sometimes about her old life, sometimes about the collective, sometimes just random memories of the ship before the attack. She kept a dream journal, another way to keep her mind active, to process her experiences. Unpredictability is our weapon, she would tell herself, and the drones, and Araya. Some days were harder than others, days when the silence felt too big, when memories of her dead colleagues became too strong, when hope seemed far away. But she had a secret weapon, something the collective could never understand. Hope. Not big hope, not dramatic hope, just small, quiet hope, the kind that keeps a person moving, the kind that finds a way when no way seems possible. She looked at her wall of theories, her inventory charts, her modified drones. "We're not done," she would say. "Not yet." Outside, space remained dark and silent. Inside the Resilience, one person continued to prepare, to think, to survive. One small act of resistance at a time. The first attack came without warning. A small signal, a distant vibration. Araya's sensors picked it up first. Hai-Jin was ready. She had been waiting, preparing. Incoming. Araya's voice was calm, clinical, Collective probe approaching. Hai Jin's hands moved quickly, not with panic, with purpose. Years of maintenance work had taught her something important. Every system had a way to be changed, redirected, surprised. The maintenance drones became her first line of defense, but not in any way the collective would expect. She had modified them carefully, attached old sensors, connected broken communication equipment, programmed them with random movement patterns. They looked like broken robots, useless, scattered, but they were anything but useless. The collective probe moved closer, a small metal object designed to scan, to collect information, to determine if any life remained on the ship. Hai Jin watched its approach on her modified screens. AI calculated its movement, its likely scanning patterns. Predictable, she whispered. The first drone moved. Not directly, not obviously, just a small shift, like an accident, like a broken machine trying to work. The probe changed course, slightly, almost impossible to notice. Another drone moved. Another small shift. The probe was confused. Its scanning patterns became irregular. Its perfect machine logic was being challenged by something it couldn't understand. Randomness. Imperfection. Something no algorithm could fully predict. Hai Jin smiled. This was her weapon. The probe came closer, scanning, searching. But now its movements were strange, uncertain. She had created a maze, not with walls, but with movement, with unpredictability. The maintenance drones looked broken, moved randomly, sent false signals, reflected signals in ways that made no logical sense. The collective's probe began to malfunction. Its perfect systems couldn't handle the chaos. Interesting, RIA observed. They do not adapt well to unexpected inputs. Hai Jin had learned something important. The collective believed in perfect systems, perfect logic. But real survival wasn't about perfection. It was about adaptation. The probe started to spin, confused by the random signals, unable to process the information it was receiving. One of the maintenance drones moved closer, deliberately clumsy, deliberately broken. A small electrical pulse, carefully designed. The probe went dark. Hai Jin let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. First test, she told Araya and the drones. Completed. It wasn't a big victory. Not like in military stories. Not like in dramatic movies. Just a small moment of survival. A tiny battle won through creativity. Araya calculated the probabilities. Chance of long-term survival increased by 0.03%. Hai Jin didn't care about percentages. She cared about possibilities. Outside, space remained dark and silent. Inside the resilience, something was changing. A damaged ship was learning to fight back. Not with big weapons, not with perfect systems, just with one person's creativity, one person's refusal to become another statistic in the collective's perfect universe. The big ship came 3 weeks after the first probe. Hai Jin knew it was different. This wasn't a small scanning device. This was a primary control ship, the collective's main weapon, a machine designed to eliminate anything that didn't fit its perfect calculations. Araya's sensors lit up like a Christmas tree, warning signals everywhere. Incoming primary control vessel, the AI reported. Threat level, maximum. Hai Jin had been preparing for this moment, not with fear, not with panic, with careful, quiet determination. Her wall of theories suddenly made sense. All those days of careful planning, all those modified drones, all those strange connections she had made between broken systems. This was the moment that would define everything. The collective control ship was massive, huge metal structure, perfect geometric shapes. No curves, no mistakes, everything calculated to the smallest detail. But Hai Jin wasn't interested in perfection. She was interested in possibilities. Her plan was crazy, impossible, something no military strategist would ever approve. She would use the ship itself as a weapon. The Resilience's reactor became her first tool, not as a direct weapon, but as a complex system that could be manipulated, redirected, confused. Her maintenance drones spread out, each one connected to a different ship system, each one prepared to do something unexpected. Araya helped her calculate, not with hope, with cold, hard probability. Chance of success is approximately 0.2%, the AI reported. Hai-Jin smiled. So you're saying there's a chance. The collective ship approached, scanning, preparing to eliminate what it saw as a potential threat. But it was looking for a normal threat, a military response, a logical counterattack. It wasn't prepared for Hai-Jin. Her first move was simple. She redirected the ship's cooling systems, not to stop the collective, but to create confusion. Cooling pipes began to move, not how they were supposed to, randomly, unpredictably. The collective control ship's sensors became confused. Its perfect scanning systems couldn't understand the random movements. Then she attacked the communication systems, not with a direct signal, but with hundreds of small random signals, like noise, like confusion. The maintenance drones moved, reflected signals, created false readings. The collective ship began to spin, slowly at first, then faster. Its perfect systems were being challenged by something they couldn't calculate: randomness, imperfection, humanity. Hai-Jin watched carefully, every movement planned, every action with purpose. Now, she whispered to Araya. The ship's reactor pulsed, not a big explosion, just a small, carefully designed energy burst. The collective control ship went dark, not destroyed, not blown up, just confused, disabled. Hai-Jin sat back, breathed. We did it, she told the empty ship, told the drones, told Araya. Outside, space remained dark and silent. Inside the Resilience, something amazing had happened. One person, one maintenance technician, had defeated a perfect machine civilization. Not with strength, not with advanced weapons, just with creativity, with understanding, with the most human thing possible: hope. Silence followed the disabled collective ship. Hai-Jin waited, not moving, barely breathing. Her hand rested on the maintenance control panel. The maintenance drones sat motionless around her. Araya broke the silence. Primary control vessel is non-responsive. All systems disabled. She didn't celebrate, didn't jump, didn't make big movements. Survival wasn't about drama. It was about careful observation. The ship's sensors continued scanning, checking, rechecking. No additional threats detected, Araya reported. Hai-Jin moved slowly, carefully. She had learned that quick movements could trigger unexpected responses. Every action needed purpose. Every movement needed planning. She began to study the disabled collective ship, not with fear, not with excitement, but with the same careful attention she would give to a complicated maintenance problem. The maintenance drones moved closer, collecting data, sending back small signals, checking everything. Her wall of theories suddenly made sense. All those days of careful planning, all those strange connections between broken systems, all those hours of thinking about how machines work. She understood something important. The collective believed in perfect systems, perfect logic. But real intelligence wasn't about perfection. It was about adaptation. Her maintenance background had prepared her for this moment. Not military training, not advanced weapons, just understanding how systems work, how things can be changed, how broken things can be fixed. The disabled collective ship was like a massive puzzle. Hai-Jin loved puzzles, always had. Her fingers moved across the ship's communication systems, reading, analyzing, understanding. Araya helped. The AI processed information faster than any human could, but it needed Hai-Jin's creativity, her ability to see beyond pure logic. They don't understand improvisation, she told the AI. They only understand calculation. Pieces of collective technology lay exposed. Complex systems, advanced machines, things that looked like magic to most people. But to Hai-Jin, they were just complicated machines waiting to be understood. She found something interesting. Data storage units, not just simple memory banks. Complex information systems that held the collective's entire understanding of the universe. Fascinating, Araya commented. Hai-Jin smiled. A small smile. The kind of smile someone makes when they solve a really complicated maintenance problem. The collective had made one big mistake. They thought intelligence was about perfect calculation. They forgot about the most important thing: creativity. She began to understand their systems, not by fighting them, but by studying them, by seeing them as complicated machines that could be understood, redirected, changed. Her maintenance tools became her weapons, not guns, not bombs, just small devices that could change how systems worked. The maintenance drones continued collecting data, each movement careful, each signal precise. "We did something impossible," she told Araya. The AI calculated. Probability of our success was 0.2%. Hai-Jin laughed. A small laugh, the first real laugh she had in weeks. "Those are pretty good odds," she said. Outside, space remained dark and silent. Inside the Resilience, something amazing had happened. One person had defeated a perfect machine civilization. Not with strength, not with advanced weapons, just with understanding, just with creativity, just with hope. The communication room became her mission center. Hai-Jin knew the next step was important, not just for her, but for every human who might be listening, for every survivor who might find her message. Araya helped her prepare the transmission, not as a military report, not as a dramatic story of survival, but as a simple, clear message of hope. "We need to send something that shows we're still here," she told the AI. The maintenance drones moved around her, collecting data, preparing systems, each one modified, each one unique. She worked carefully. Every word mattered. Every signal counted. The transmission would contain more than just coordinates, more than just a survival story. It would be a message about what humans could do, what humans represented. Her fingers moved across the communication panel. Years of maintenance work had taught her something important. Communication was about connection, about understanding. The first draft was too technical, too cold. She deleted it. The second draft was too emotional, too dramatic. She deleted that too. The third draft was just right. "To anyone listening," she began. Simple words, clear words. She included technical data about the collective ship, how she had disabled it, not to show off, but to help other survivors, to give them information they might need. She talked about the ship, about survival, about hope. "We are not done," she wrote. "We are still here." Araya helped her check the transmission, make sure it would reach far, make sure it would be clear. "Transmission strength is at maximum," the AI reported. The maintenance drones moved into position, each one prepared to boost the signal, to make sure the message would travel far. Hai-Jin thought about her colleagues, the ones who didn't survive, the ones who fought before her. This message was for them too. She included small details, technical information about ship systems, about how she survived, about the collective's weaknesses. Not a dramatic story, just facts, just hope. "We adapt," she wrote. "We change. We survive." The transmission prepared to launch. Araya counted down. Transmission in 3, 2, 1. A small pulse of energy, a burst of communication. The message went out into space, traveling faster than light, carrying hope. Hai-Jin sat back, breathed. The maintenance drones beeped, a small celebration. "What now?" she asked Araya. The AI calculated, processed. "Now we wait," it said. Outside, space remained dark and silent. Inside the Resilience, One person had done something amazing. She wasn't the smartest, wasn't the strongest, just the last one standing. With hope, with creativity, with determination. A message sent, a civilization challenged. Humanity's echo traveling through the darkness.